So let's talk about all my different headphones. You know, my friends often ask me about headphones, what I think about them, how I use them, which models I use. So I thought that I'd take a minute and just talk about the different headphones that I've used throughout the years and the different ways that I use them. Some of these headphones are dating back like 16, 17 years, so they're pretty nasty now. So I'll shoot some close-ups so you can see how they've degraded over time. So there's actually 3 different situations where I use headphones in my life. The first would be for work, for location sound recording for film, mostly documentary. The second would be here in the studio, where I do post-production for film and also music production. And the third would just be like everyday life, where just I get around the city, subway, just listening to music or podcasts. So let me jump into the different models of headphones I've used over the years in each of these situations. So like I said, the first situation where I would use headphones would be for work, would be with location sound recording. Now I work primarily in documentary, and that means for that job, I would be taking all my equipment to a location, sometimes very remote locations, to record the dialogue and the sound for a particular production. Now, in this situation, while you do need headphones that sound pretty good, it's not really the number one thing I look for. Really, I look for something that sounds good, but more, I need something that's gonna be durable. Because for this kind of production, I'm running around, I need to grab my things quick. Those headphones are gonna get thrown around, they're gonna get sat on, they're gonna get stepped on, they're gonna get put in the mud. So, you know, while you do need something that sounds good because you need to hear what's going on, but you don't really need to worry so much about those minute little changes in frequency or whatever. You're more listening for the big things. So let's talk about the ones I've gone through. So when I first started in location sound, these were the first headphones that I had. And these are the Sony 7506s. These are quite popular for location sound. They have these big ear cups that are nice and foamy, and they're pretty comfortable. What I also liked about these is that they kind of fold up like this. So you can kind of fold them up into this little ball, and it's really easy just to fold them up quickly and stick them in a pocket and run around or stick them in your bag. These are pretty good. I used them for a while. I think this is the second pair I had or the third pair I had. What I don't like about these is I don't like this flippy, the way the ear cups just flip around like this. What would happen more often than not is I'd grab them real quick and they'd be backwards. I'd be trying to put them on my head and I'd have to fiddle with this, and you know, it's like one hand, and it was really a bit of a shit show. The other thing I really didn't like about these is this stupid cable. They have this coiled cable. I think possibly you can get them without the coiled cable, but I never was able to find any without the coiled cable. And this is just a nightmare for me on location. Because when you're running, this gets tangled. Lots of times I like to coil up my cable and stick it in my bag so I keep my kit nice and tight. When you coil this one up, it gets all tangled. And it always does this thing that coiled cables do, where it just does this like black magic reversing, like a slinky broken situation where I don't know how this happens and I don't know how to remedy it, but that happens several times throughout the cable, and you end up with a cable that just looks like shit and makes me crazy. So that's probably one of the main reasons why I left these, is the floppy ear cups and the stupid cable. But they sound fine, and they're durable. These got dropped 100 times and everything, and they still, to this day, they still work okay. My next pair is the Sennheiser. This is the 25-1 2s. This is the current pair that I use. They sound fine, also similar sound to the Sonys, which is totally fine. What I like about these is that they are a bit modular. I've had a few of the cables go out on these, so you can actually pull this cable out and you can replace just the cable. It's a little bit expensive, but it's good to be able to replace that, and you don't have to replace the whole headphones. And also these are super durable. Like, these are built like a tank. You can like drop these, like, it doesn't matter. I've dropped these like 1,000 times. I've stepped on them, I've sat on them, I throw them in my bag. The cable is like not coiled like those, like the stupid Sony ones. So what I can do is I can just, when these are on my head, I can coil this up and tuck it into my bag so I can keep everything real nice and tight. I also like how you can kind of bend this last one back so you can put it on your head, and when you need to have one ear at the end of your boom pole and the other ear to hear what's going on location, you can do that, and it's still pretty comfortable. You can even separate these if you really need it to stick on your head or whatever. What I don't like about these is they don't fold. Like the Sony is actually folded into a little ball, where easier to store. These don't. Like this is pretty much how they're gonna be. Like you can't, so it's a little bit harder to fold these up and stick them in a bag. These ear cups, they come off. Like you see, like sometimes they'll just pop off if you grab it in a hurry, and it's easy to pop them back on, but it's like when you're in a hurry and you're grabbing something, and it's like, and the headphone kind of pops off and you have to stick it back on. It's a little bit of a ordeal. These ear cups are pretty comfortable, and they're actually replaceable. I think this is the second time I've replaced these, which is good because it's nice to have a pair of headphones that lasts a little bit longer, but it's bad in that they're kind of a chore to change out. And sometimes I've had a few times where it's like if you bump them the wrong way, they'll pop off on set. And at the worst moment, and when you have that pop off, and it's like, it's impossible. It takes like 20 minutes to get them back on. But it is nice that you can replace them. I think I've replaced these twice now. These are still going strong. These are my current pair that I'm using now. The last pair of headphones for location sound are these guys. I don't know what these models are. This is some Chinese cheap. These sound okay, but what I use these for is on set. A lot of the times I need to give a mix to the script supervisor or the producer or the director or whoever needs a mix, and I have these little IFB machines here that these send a signal from my mixer to whoever wants to listen, and I have several of these. And so I always have a few pairs of cheap headphones that I can give to the director or the producer, whoever needs them if they don't have their own, so they can listen in. These cost like, I think 15 bucks, and I just have something cheap that sounds good enough. Sometimes these tend to walk away from set, and I didn't want to actually have to worry about them walking away or getting broken or anything. Now let's move over to the next environment or situation where I would use headphones, and that's in the studio. That's here, and this is a treated environment. It's quiet. I'm sitting here in a chair. I'm not running around that much, so here I can concentrate more on the actual clarity and the frequency response of the headphones. You don't need them to be so durable, although I do tend to drop headphones more than I probably should. I'm looking a lot more for comfort, because you have to wear them for a long time, and good sound. So the first pair I ever got were these guys. These are the Sennheiser 260 Pros. And I got these are probably my oldest headphones I have here in the studio. These are about 16 or 17 years old at this point. I don't really use them anymore, but I did like them for a while. They were decent. I remember them being not terribly expensive. I think I spent like $100 or maybe a little over $100 for these back in the day. And they sound pretty good. They're comfortable. I used them for a long time. You can see they're all falling apart now. They sound good. I don't have any complaints about these. When I left the US though, and I came to China, I didn't actually bring these with me. So they actually sat in storage for a while, and then a few years later I ended up bringing them back. Sounded pretty good, and I used them for a long time. So the next pair of studio headphones I had are these guys. These are Audio-Technica ATH-T33s. When I first left the US and came to China, I didn't want to bring the 240 Sennheisers because they were just too bulky for me to fit in my luggage. So I actually had a pair of Bose headphones that sounded great. I used for both mixing, the little bit of mixing I was doing, and mostly listening for just everyday listening. But those got stolen, sad story. So I wanted to buy some new headphones that were going to be good for when I started doing more mixing and stuff again here in China. So I bought these Audio-Technicas, and they're garbage. I'll say these were terrible. They're uncomfortable, they're clicky, they have horrible frequency response. I think when I bought them, I didn't really know how to speak any Chinese, and I went to a shop, and these were just the ones. I probably panic bought them because I couldn't talk to the guy to find out what I needed to buy or whatever, and I didn't know how to shop online at that point, so I just bought the first thing that I found. I think these were not incredibly cheap. I don't remember. I think maybe they were like $100 or something. I don't know, but they're terrible. Don't ever buy them. Anyways, they're garbage. And that brings us to my current studio headphones, which are these guys. These are the Sennheiser HD650s. A lot of people use these for studio headphones. I think they're a little bit pricey. I bought them probably like 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly how much they cost, but it seems like they were not super cheap. These are totally fine. I think it's one of the standard pairs of headphones for studio. They're open back, so you don't get any noise cancellation whatsoever with these. It sounds exactly the same when you have them on than when you have them off. So you need to use these in kind of a controlled environment. Like, it's not good for wearing these out and about listening to music unless you just want to hear everything around you and not have any isolation at all. But they have great frequency response. I'm sure there's a million reviews online, people talking about these. I can honestly say that these are comfortable to wear over time. They have these giant ear cups. I think in general, I don't really have anything bad to say about these. Full disclosure, I don't use headphones in the studio that much. Before I actually had a treated environment, I was using headphones more, so I concentrated more on having closed back and isolation, since it was like my primary source or way of monitoring when I was doing mixing. Now that I have a room that I've kind of treated and is quiet, I'm using mostly the monitors. I do use headphones when I'm doing things like dialogue editing, where I really need to hear the kind of minute changes in regions to do fades or hear like little noises that I might not hear or I might miss on the monitors. And oftentimes after I'm working on a mix, I'll do one or two passes where I just listen to it on headphones just to hear if I hear anything different. But I'm primarily in the studio. I'm working with the studio monitors and not so much with headphones. But for the few times I use headphones, these are totally fine, and no complaints. So now let's move on to the third situation where I use headphones, and that would be just everyday life. I live in a city. It's loud. It's people do not give any shits about the people around them. And for someone who is very sensitive about sound and the environment, I find it that I really need some way to isolate myself from the environment around me. I came to a realization probably about 5 to 6 years ago that you can get as angry as you want about people being inconsiderate around you on the train, but the truth of the matter is you can't change the environment around you. The only thing you can change is your own personal environment. So one of my best purchases ever was a good pair of noise canceling headphones so that I can just get out of that environment and be in my head, listen to music, and it makes traveling and commuting so much better. The first pair of headphones I had for that are these Bose. These are the QC35s. I use these all the time. I actually, even when I'm doing remote mixing and post-production, sometimes I'll have to go to an office or something, or an agency to do the post-production, and I'll bring these because they're noise canceling. They sound really good. They've got a great frequency response, and you can fold them up and they're easy to transport. They're Bluetooth, but they're also, I use the cable into my computer when I don't usually mix with Bluetooth, so they're great that you have a cabled connection. I think these probably need to see the doctor. The ear cups need to be replaced, and a few things need to be changed, but more or less these are great headphones. The noise cancellation is great, so when you're walking around, this is great for you to be in your own environment. I really enjoyed these. Cons, things I don't like about these, they look pretty good and I think they're totally fine. The only problem is in the summertime, when you're walking around with these, it's just a little bit too hot. And my biggest con with these, two things. One is when you have the noise cancellation all the way up, and I think from what I can tell, when wind hits the actual mic that it uses for the noise cancellation, you get this really amplified wind sound, which is really annoying. The other is in these like little pivot points, sometimes they just get a little stiff, and if you make the little movement, it kind of clicks a little bit, which isn't a big deal if you're sitting around, if you're on an airplane. It really doesn't bother me at all. But when you're walking around, you can really hear it there. You hear it like that. If you're walking around and it's kind of like clicking like that, it's really annoying. These are great for sitting, listening to music, if you're not moving around a lot. But if you're moving around a lot or in the heat, I don't know if I recommend these. That brings up my last pair of headphones. which is also the Bose, and these are the QC30s. And this is probably the headphones, honestly, of all my headphones that I wear the most. These are just the in-ear kind of counterpart to the QC35s. Of course, they don't sound quite as good as the QC35s, but they sound pretty damn good, to be honest. They sound totally good enough for me. The noise cancellation is great. The battery life is fine. I like that you can just put them around your neck and just kind of forget about them. You can just wear them, put them under your shirt, and you don't have to worry about it. These are great. I wear these all the time. I've had them for about 2 years now, and they're still going strong. Cons with these are, it kind of irritates me how they get kind of twisted sometimes. That's kind of a silly thing, but every once in a while they'll get kind of twisted and you end up, I'll see myself walking around like this for a while and I feel like an idiot. They also do the wind sound thing the same as the other ones, with the noise cancellation all the way up. I think this is just maybe the beast you have to deal with when you're dealing with noise cancellation outside. Also, like wearing like in-ear headphones, I don't know if everybody has this problem, but when I wear in-ear headphones for a really long time, I start to get like kind of dizzy. I don't know how to say it. Like when I take it out, I think it does something to my inner ear by having something just in there all the time that it just makes me feel a little bit dizzy. But these sound great. I think these are the headphones I use the most. And that's that. So there you go. Those are all the headphones that I've had over the years, or the ones that I still have in the studio. I hope you guys found this interesting. If you did, leave me a like. If you really liked it, please subscribe. I mostly do videos about music production and synthesizers, so if you like that kind of content, check out some other videos on my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. All the best. Take care.